guys, I want to thank you so much for joining us again for our Wednesday devotional. And I'm just going to jump into things today because I'm going to talk about one. It might be a little bit longer, but we'll see. But I wanted to kind of hit on what it's like as Christians and how we need to desire encounters with God. And I'm not just talking about like one-time experience sometime in our life and that's it. I mean continuous encounters. I mean continually desiring to press into God, to press into His presence, to want to know Him more and more and more and more, and not jump into a place of contentment or, we get self-righteousness or religion where we're like, oh, well, I know God, I have a good relationship with Him, but I never go and press into the Word. I don't go to meetings. I don't do this. It's like, really, where really is your relationship with God? And I want to hit on this and explain the importance of desiring encounters with God, desiring to know God, As Christians, we need to stay hungry for the things of God. We have to continue to seek after Him. We have to continue to press in to His presence on a regular basis. Not every once in a while, not when things are hard, not when, whenever. We need to do it on a regular basis. We need to make it our heart's desire to want to be with God as much as possible. John 6:48 says that Jesus is the bread of life. He says, I am the bread of life. And as Jesus, the bread of life, that means He sustains us. Just like bread sustains people, it feeds people, it satisfies hunger, it helps people survive. Like we can't live without food. So why do we think that we can live or we can continue on in our life without having encounters with God, without reading His Word, without going to the bread, without going to the source of life? Exodus 16:4. It's when Moses and the Israelites are going through they were delivered from Egypt and they're going into the desert in the wilderness. And we understand that God fed them manna from heaven every day. And I want to read from that in Exodus chapter 16, verse 4, it says, Then said the Lord unto Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them whether that they will walk in my law or not. So when God sent manna from heaven to the Israelites, He said He gave them instruction. He said, my instruction is to go out and take of this bread, gather this manna every day. And He did it as a test to the Israelites to see if they would be faithful to Him, if they would be obedient to Him. Something so small and so little as this, but God was testing the people. You see, He still does that with His regular Christians today. He says, be in my word, come after me, seek me and you shall find, knock and the door shall be open every day. And you see what would happen is if the Israelites, they couldn't try to hoard it up. They couldn't go that day and gather a whole lot of manna and say, you know what, I'm just going to gather enough for tomorrow so then I don't have to go out and get manna tomorrow. I can just stay in and do whatever I want because I'll have enough saved up for the next day. Well, they couldn't do that because Scripture says that if they tried to hold it for the next day, it would begin to rot. It would stink and worms would begin to grow in it. And that's gross. Like, who wants to eat that, And a lot of times that's how Christians are like. They say, well, I got my word on Sunday, so it'll be good for the rest of the week. It's like, no, you got it for Sunday, and then they try to live off the rest of the week on stale, worm-ridden bread. And it doesn't work that way. As Christians, we've got to take time to get that fresh manna every day, that fresh word every day, that fresh bread every day. We've got to seek after the face of God every day so it doesn't get old, so it doesn't get stale, so it doesn't get stinky, and we can survive and thrive, not going around life half-starved, getting whipped around by everything, barely making it through every obstacle that comes our way, or we can be fully nourished and face things head on and walk in victory and in ease over these obstacles and things that come our way because we have taken the time to work on sustaining ourselves. We have taken the time to press into God. We have taken the time to encounter His presence. We need His word every day. I don't understand how I've talked to some people and they'll be like, oh, well, I had an encounter with God in 1990 or I had him in 1983 and I'm fine. I'm like, if people need bread every single day, if they need to be in the Word every single day, why do they think one encounter with God is all they need for their entire life? And then I've heard other people say, well, I've already experienced that before. I already read that part of the Bible before. I already did that before. Well, is God only an experience to you, or is it a relationship? In a relationship, you've got to go with them every day. You have to build it. You have to spend time with it. It's not, oh, well, I kissed my husband one time. I don't need to do it again. It's like, that's not a relationship. Oh, I already had that experience. I don't need another one. I don't need to experience a kiss again. I had it one time when we were on our marriage night, and that was it. It's like, no. Like, what's wrong with you? If somebody talked to you and you had to talk to somebody or a marriage counselor about that, they'd look at you and be like, what's wrong with you? And that's how some Christians treat God. Oh, well, I had one experience with him at one time, so I should be good. It's like, no. I want to experiencing him every day. I want to press in him every time. I want to go to every meeting I can go to. I want to be in every opportunity I have to be with God, to encounter God. I want to go. And in the Bible, people had multiple encounters with God. Abraham had an encounter with God when God first told him to move. He told him, pack up your things and go. He had another encounter with God when he saw him in visions. He had another encounter with God when he struck covenant with God. He had another encounter with God when he took Isaac up to sacrifice him on the mount. He had another encounter with God underneath the terebinth trees. And that's just Abraham. You have Moses, who had multiple encounters with God. He had the burning bush experience. He had encounters with him all the time when he saw God work miracles in Egypt every day. Between the different plagues and things that God sent upon Egypt was a manifestation of his power and his presence and his glory that Moses witnessed firsthand every day throughout the time of Egypt. In the wilderness, every day, God led them forward by a pillar of fire and a pillar of fire at night and a cloud during the day. He had multiple experiences where Moses went up on the mount to pray and encountered God, encountered the glory of God, encountered the goodness of God multiple times. And you can look at the disciples. They had encounters with Jesus every single day. Every day, from the moment they started following Jesus till before his crucifixion, they were with him every day. They had encounters with Jesus every single day. And here, so many Christians are like, well, I had my one-time experience, so I'm good. It's like, no, you're not good. I'm sorry, but you're not good. And then it saddens me and it hurts me because they don't realize what they're missing out on. They don't realize how good things could be, just like the Israelites with Moses. Because in Exodus 33, 12 through 15, it says, Moses said to the Lord, you told me to lead these people, but you did not say who you would send with me. You said to me, I know you very well, and I am pleased with you. Now listen to what Moses says to God. He says, if I have really pleased you, then teach me your ways, because I want to know you. Then I can continue to please you. See, that's the heart of wanting to encounter God. It's wanting to have a pure relationship with him, wanting to know everything he has for you, wanting to experience everything he has for you, wanting to know everything about him. That's what fuels encounters for God. That's what fuels seeking after God. That's what fuels you continuing to walk after his plan, to staying in the Word every day, to keep seeking him, to keep having encounters with him, is because you want to know God. So if you're listening today, I want you to heart check yourself and check where you're at. Do you really want to know God? Do you want all he has for you? Do you want to encounter his presence in ways you haven't encountered it before? And if you said yes to any of those or all three of those, then I want to encourage you to continue pressing in. Don't stay satisfied with where you're at. Don't stay satisfied with the mundane. Don't stay satisfied with just one Sunday morning service and that's it. But get into everything you can get into so that you can experience God in every area. And he talked to that and he said, then the Lord answered Moses and he said, I myself will go with you and I will lead you. And Moses said to him, if you don't go with us, then don't make us leave this place. So Moses was saying, look, God, I don't want to go anywhere without you. I don't want to do anything without you because I love you so much, because I have this relationship with you. And you see, that was the difference between Moses and the Israelites. Moses wanted a relationship with God. The Israelites did not. They were terrified of God. You know, we can see in Exodus 20:18 through 21. It says, when the people saw the thunder and lightning and heard the trumpet and saw the mountain in smoke, they trembled with fear and they stayed at a distance. So they saw the glory and the power of God, and it terrified them. It scared them. So they stayed away. They're like, I don't want to get near God. I don't want to know God. I'm scared of this God. And Moses, and said to Moses, they said, this is what the Israelites said to Moses. They said, speak to us yourself and we will listen, but do not have God speak to us or we will die. So they didn't even want to speak to God because they were scared. They're like, look, you go talk to God, you come back and tell us what he said and we'll just do whatever we said. But we don't want to have anything to do with him, is more or less what they were saying. You know, and Moses told them, he's like, don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid of God. He's like, he's just showing you his power so that you can have reverence, so you can have respect, so you can have an honorable fear for who he is. But don't be afraid of him. And then the people said that they remained at a distance while Moses approached the thick darkness where God was. So it was only Moses who walked into the presence of God. It was only Moses who pursued God, while the rest of the Israelites stayed at a distance because they were scared. So you guys listening today, don't allow fear to stop you from pressing into the presence of God. Don't allow fear to stop you from having encounters with God. You know, fear of God, fear of his power, fear of what you see. Sometimes when people see him moving in meetings and people might fall out, or they might start crying, or they might start laughing, or they might start doing these other things because they're encountering God. Sometimes it scares people. Sometimes it puts them off. Sometimes they don't understand it and they're like, well, I don't know what that is. I don't want that. But just as Moses said to the Israelites, I'm saying to you, do not be afraid and come with me. Come with me to experience the presence, the power, and the glory of God, because it is good, it is precious, and it is holy. But you won't be able to experience it if you don't desire it, if you don't seek after it. If you stay satisfied and content, you'll never be able to experience it for your life. So don't let the fear of God, the fear of man, what people are thinking, what people might do, what they might say about you, or your own pride stop you from entering into the presence of God. Put that all aside and say, God, I want all you have for me. I want you every day, and I want to experience your presence every day and everywhere I can. I will seek after you and I will hunger after you because I want to know you. I really hope this encouraged you guys today. And honestly, my goal is to stir you up to want to press in more for God, to want to press in to experience him more on a personal level. Again, thank you so much for listening, and God bless.